Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Hear Me Out. If you haven't watched last week's episode, make sure you do because we talked about our favorite Bible stories. But today, we're actually going to be talking about some of the misconceptions of what it means to be a Christian and kind of sharing our stories and maybe for those of you that aren't Christian or are, how we can connect better and understand each other, think a little bit better.
Yeah. I think the purpose of today's podcast is that to find a middle ground where we can, we can lay out what we think are some of the misconceptions we perceive from the world.
Yeah.
And some of the misconceptions we might have from the world as well as Christians. So do you have anyone that jumps at you right now?
I think for me, one of the biggest misconceptions about Christians is that we don't struggle with a lot of the major things that a lot of people struggle with. Because I know growing up, what may be more accessible or in a norm in someone's environment that's not Christian, because that's not a norm in our world, it's like, well, you would never struggle with wanting to drink. You would never struggle with wanting to go party. You would never struggle with, wanting to be in a relationship and, compromising some of your values because you've never been exposed to it, perhaps. And those were some of the things that I think I went through growing up where, yes, I may not have been exposed to a lot of things because of my environment and growing up in a Christian household. But that didn't mean that I didn't deal with a lot of the pressures. If anything, I felt like a lot of the times it was harder because I wasn't in those environments. It was such a surprise to people. Like, what do you mean? You've never done this. What do you mean that you're going to save yourself till marriage? There was a lot of that, like, doesn't make any sense to me. And because of that, it's like, well, then you're some weird superhuman that you can avoid all of that and survive, when it's like, yes, we're not exposed to that, but that doesn't mean that we have, certain struggles, And I will go as far as even to say that that's one aspect of it, but the other aspect is that when we do go through hard times, that we're somehow expected to respond always with faith, always with hope, because we do believe in God and we do believe that He is in control. We believe, like, okay, well, this is a person that just lost someone. I would say that expectation is possibly a little bit more in the church, where, because you're a Christian, it's like, well, you should have it all together, and it's not always the case, and I'll elaborate later, but those are the first things that stick out to me. What about you?
I think for me is that Christians can't have fun. That one is, like, I think the world has a very skewed perception of what fun is. Drinking, clubbing, drugs, even, and I don't necessarily like, to me that's not fun.
Yeah.
To me, to me. Here, this is fun, talking about something that is interesting to me. The many events we've had at church where we have fun, where it's just a fun, healthy environment.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times for people that can't quite separate fun from drinking, partying, and clubbing and drugs, it's very hard to understand that you can have healthy environments where you have fun,
right?
Where you can, you can have a nice conversation with someone. Serving others is fun too. And I think, like, I've heard it from a lot of people, well, it's because when you're a Christian, you stop doing a lot of things, and then they see it as like
the church is stopping you.
Yeah, a set of rules that prohibit you from doing stuff, and
you're oppressed in some kind of way.
Yeah.
someone else is making you to believe that if you don't do these things, you know, or if you do these things, you know, you're shamed and,
and you're gonna go to hell or whatever. And I think and you know, it's not that we can't do those things. I think we can. It's just we don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference. And I see, and you know, it's not just in the world. Sometimes it's in your family. Sometimes you might not fit in as well. I can remember we have a friend that she's very young, and she's, you know, she's given her life to the Lord, and she was given a testimony the other day saying how it's a little bit difficult when you are the only one in your family trying to ascribe to a different type of fun, to a different type of life, to a different type of and she's in high school, you know, and she sees it. She feels the I wouldn't say pressure, because I don't think she called it pressure, but she said, even in my family, I started to see things like, why are you dressing different? Why are you speaking different? Why are you not using makeup? Why are you? And these are things that we as a church told her not to do.
Right.
She decided on her own.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen that a lot in the church. I've seen a lot of people that they arrive there dressed a certain way, speaking a certain way, you know, thinking a certain way, and we've never made it a point to go up after that person and be like, you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing that. I mean, I don't think pastor has ever spoken in the pulpit about the many things we should be doing.
No.
And these people manage to change their attitudes. They manage to change the way they're dressed. They manage to change, and they do it on their own volition.
Yeah.
They do it because that's what starts to matter for them. Not as a church. We never, you know, we don't do that.
Yeah.
And I think people think that as soon as you go to church, you have this someone telling you, oh, you shouldn't be doing this.
Here's your set of rules.
Yeah,
along with being a member, you know.
And I mean, we do have a doctrine, right? We do have a doctrine. We do have our own beliefs, but that is not something that we are going to employ on you just because.
But I think that's also a misconception that, you know, I've heard this before of like, you know, so I don't wear pants personally, unless it's a situation where like I'm going to go to the snow, or, you know, it's really a situation where I don't feel like it'd be appropriate for me to wear a skirt. I'll wear, you know, hiking, I'm going to wear leggings, you know, a situation like that. But for the most part, I dress with skirts and I dress with dresses. That's just my attire. And so because of that, I know, you know, in college especially, I had people like, so you don't, like, you can't, you know, there's something wrong with jeans. And it's just like, no, like I think that the misconception is that what I choose to do with how I interpret the scriptures is being forced on me. Mm-hmm. That I couldn't enjoy dressing in a certain way. You know, that someone brainwashed me to believe that this is how it should be. You know, and it's interesting because, especially now that I'm married, it's not even in my marriage where I have a husband that's like, I want to see you with skirts and all the way to your ankles and turtlenecks. And it's like, no, not even then, because I enjoy what I dress, because my goal is I want to dress modestly. And modestly, at the core of it, all that it is that you're not bringing attention to yourself for a reason, for I'm going to try to, you know, get every attention that I can get from anybody and whoever it is. But it's also, I don't need to show aspects of my body for certain reasons. And that's the thing, like, you know, to me, it's like holiness and dressing modestly for me, it just means, do I feel like with what I'm putting on is really honoring God? And you can do that with jeans. You can do that with a skirt. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, because I choose not to wear pants, I think that's where the misconception is, well, you're oppressed. And you must, you know, have an issue with people who do wear pants. It's like, no, I don't. I don't have that issue. What I want and strive for is that what I'm wearing is appropriate. It's like, I don't have to show my body in order for me to feel like I'm empowered, or for me to feel like I'm a woman. Like, you know, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's where the misconception also comes, when you're already on an end and you've already made that change and you've chosen to, you know, wear certain items, or you've chosen to abstain from certain things, and it's like that couldn't have been your decision, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it can be.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that that's the attitude a lot of people take when we're clearly living in a world where it's do as you please.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And dress however you want.
Right.
And
but because it's a reflection of me, you know, for me it's like, well, I've found this empowerment in showing my skin and showing my features and so on. So the fact that you're not, like, why?
There should be
it's
something
like,
wrong.
Let me help you get out of that, because, you know, you need to feel yourself, you know, and that's what we do. It's that projection, and it's really not doing what you please.
No, and I think, and then you tell them, you explain to them your you know, if you have the time too, because sometimes it's like you're talking to a wall. Because yet again, when you explain to them, it's like no, pero like it's the church, you know, they are always going to find something to blame. And then in retrospect, you can also tell them, well, the same thing to you then. You know, if you want to apply that principle to me, it needs to be applied to you as well. Why are you dressing the way that you're dressing? Isn't it because that's why you watch all day? Isn't it because that's
trends?
That's why you've been put in your head all day that's how, you know, that's how women should dress. That's how an empowered woman should be dressed as. It's the same thing. And then you tell them that, and to them, no, I chose this. I chose to have this tiny thing that barely covers whatever, you know. And it's like, yeah, sure you did. And so it's I think at that point it's very hard to explain to someone that it's just so far from reality, you know. And so I think there's another misconception. I was thinking of another misconception, that we can't have fun, that's pretty much that we can't dress the way we dress because we want to, just because we want to. And then the other one would be that...
I have one.
Oh, say it.
That your relationship is doomed to fail if you don't sleep with the person. Because we do live in a society where you try out everything first before you commit to someone. You know, and that whole mindset of like, how can you know for certain that you want to spend the rest of your life with someone without moving in, without sleeping with them? As a matter of fact, right now I'm into this show, judge me all you want, on Netflix, called Love is Blind. And
another misconception that Christians shouldn't be watching TV.
And the show is, their whole concept is, we're going to fall in love just by listening to each other, and we're talking behind a wall, and then we're going to see each other, and then they send them off to a honeymoon, basically, where they're going to explore their physical relationship, and then they're going to move in together. And if throughout those 6-8 weeks that they're together and they feel like they're a fit, they'll get married. And obviously it's a reality show. It's, you know, it's got its moments of drama and stuff, but I think that mindset is also true in society, where, you know, first and foremost, there's something wrong with you if you haven't had some kind of sexual experience. Second of all, there's something wrong with you that you're planning to marry someone that you've never seen in who they are, and experience them and who they are, and that you're going to spend the rest of your life with them. I mean, I don't want to be graphic, but have had people had conversations where for them it's like, how do you even know you're going to enjoy it if you're going to commit to someone, you know, and you're going to participate in certain activities where you don't know if they're good at it, or you don't know if it's going to work out. And I think that that's a misconception, because, you know, we have the whole thing backwards, where it's you don't need that to know if a person is going to commit. And then also it becomes the driving force of the relationship. Like, that is the most important thing in the entire relationship, that attraction, that the butterflies and the fantasy and everything. And it's like, there's a lot that goes into a relationship on top of the physical. It's, you know, are you committed? Do you have the same values? Do you have an understanding of who this person is. And at least, you know, for me, it's like I'm not here to say that people don't make mistakes and that people don't, you know, like that everyone that is Christian has never made a mistake. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it is possible to abstain from certain things and to have a successful relationship with someone, and to fall in love with someone and commit to someone without having had to participate in certain things.
Yeah.
And I say that because, you know, again, because of the way our world works and what our world thinks of marriage as an institution, as you know, why? Like, I know when I was planning on getting married, I had people that were like, why do you want to get married? You know, like, girl,
What was that reason?
what was the reason? You know, girl, you have a lot of life to live. You know, you're 24, like, and at the time I was 23. You know,
trust me, you get to my age and there's not a lot of life. Okay, just kidding.
So, you know, and you have that because marriage now has a bad name. Marriage has a bad, like, taste in people's mouth. Like, why would you want to do that and commit yourself to one man and all of that, and you're now going to be hitched to someone and bound to someone. It's like, why is it that way? Like,
And then you have people, please, that's all I'm asking, to be bound to someone. No, I think, you know, it's very interesting because I think it's, first of all, it's the end times. I'm sorry, guys, but Jesus is coming. I mean, I've seen so many things. And then now, because, you know, obviously you get it everywhere. You get it on TikTok, you get it on YouTube, you get it on Instagram, you get it on Facebook. People are out there posting things that you're really like, okay, this person literally thought it to be a good idea to post whatever content he or she thinks is good, you know. And
well, specifically those people that get interviewed right after that they come out of a club or a bar, those
yeah,
are
like, and then like recently you sent me one where I was like, no, Jesus has to come, like he needs to wipe us clean, because I mean, this guy is asking them what's the most what's
like wild experience,
the wildest experience. And these people are insane. These people are, to me, it's just how is that normal? You know, how is that now the norm? And us, which I think should be the norm, and with what and I know that we're not supposed to, you know, that this isn't a place for us to put blame on people or anything, but I would think we're doing the right thing. We're doing what lasts. What is it that lasts? Commitment. You know, I'm going to commit myself to not give myself away to just anyone. I'm going to commit myself to wait for that right person that's going to value me waiting, right? But no, we have it so backwards that now we are looked at as the, okay, weird. Yeah, you're a prude. Like, I don't know, you know? But then these people are looked at, oh my God, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Been there, done that.
Go girl.
Go girl. Live your summer, whatever, you know.
Speak your truth.
Yeah, like, and to me is...
Ahí con los crystals.
Yeah, con los crystals y todo eso, you know, like their chakras and everything. And to me, it's just, that's insane. That to me, it's a sign that the end times are here, you know, because to me, things are just going to get worse. Marriage is just going to get more devalued, diluted in all of this, because now because of that mentality of no, how do you, and I've heard it so many times in different contexts, but the one that really strikes me as the funniest one and the stupidest one is how do you know how to drive a Corvette until you've driven it or something?
Yeah,
like, dude, really? And so, I mean, I get the expression, you know, and the expression is saying exactly what you were saying. How do you know you're going to be a match in that sense if you haven't tried it?
But see, even in that, you know, and I don't want to make this whole conversation about intercourse, but like, that's the thing. Why do you have to go into a marriage being an expert and having had all these experiences with different people, bad and good, just so that you're gonna like, now I'm ready to say, oh, I know what I can do. Like, why have we removed the beauty in getting and finding that out with someone, with especially someone that you love and you've committed to? regardless of where you stand on the expert level. Like, to me, it's like, why is that wrong? Why is that wrong to discover that with someone?
Yeah.
And again, backwards, and it's the mentality is so different that, you know. And then I've seen comments before where you know, like a virgin is being interviewed and like, oh, they're in for a loop. And it's like, you know, like, dude, like, really, you know. And then what's interesting is that then you'll see interviews where, you know, have men who, they don't want to be with women who have been with multiple partners. So then there's that double standard. It's like, okay, entonces what would you gain from having all those experiences, just so the men be like, I'm not going to wife that up.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, pues, it makes no sense.
I think that's a huge misconception, that waiting is so, you know, what's the word, vintage. The waiting is so, you know, it's like it's going back in time.
Yeah.
You know, it's archaic, and I think there's beauty in that. I think there's meaning in that. I think there's reward in that. And
it's also how you perceive,
and I mean,
the situation.
Yeah, and by no means does this mean that just because I waited, I'm gonna have the perfect marriage. No, but because marriage is hard, marriage is work, and
that's why I say it can't be everything.
Yeah, it can't be everything. Look at me talking about marriage. I'm an expert. But is what I am saying is that I think that morality and being a moral person and a person of integrity, a person of and I'm not saying that once you've done the deed you can't become a person of integrity and morality. No, you can. You know, we just talked the last episode about restoration.
Yeah.
So you can be restored. We can be restored.
I'm speaking specifically on individuals that have grown up in church or have had experiences but now are in church and they don't want to continue a certain lifestyle, or they've never been exposed or don't choose to be exposed and want to remain. That's what I'm talking about. Like, but by no means am I saying that if you have had an experience that you're damaged goods and that there's no hope for you or you can have a good marriage. I'm just saying specifically for those people that are making those decisions, why is that bad? You know, why is that viewed as
bad? Yeah.
You know,
Gee, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, that was a good one. I think I thought of another one.
I have another one.
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like a huge misconception about being a Christian is that we are Trump supporters, gun rights, America, and you know, and again, I'm not saying that Christians can't own guns or not own guns or can be a Trump supporter. What I'm saying is like that is the image you get, the Karens of like, you know, and it's like no, it's like,
or also the opposite, that because you're Christian you should be all kind and giving and
true
and for the record, yes, that's what the Bible teaches. That you need to show the love of God. That you need to be like Christ.
But that you wouldn't have your human.
But exactly. You know, there are times where I don't think I've been very Christian-like, you know? Because people get to me. I used to be a very impatient person. And I want to change my language because I'm not. I'm patient now. But... so yeah, there were times where, you know, it comes easier to be on the defense. And when you're on the defense, you don't come off as the most Christian person.
Yeah, of course.
And I think that's another misconception. I mean, God knows how many times I've received a call of like, hey, do you give free food there? Oh, no, we don't have that program. Well, aren't you a church? Yes, we are, man. But we just don't have food on hand every time, you know? And wow. And they hang up on me or you know, when they, hey, I need $500. I'm like, oh, well, good for you, ma'am. I don't know how to help you. Well, aren't you a church? Yes, we are, but we don't have those services. And now, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. But that when they say, well, aren't you a church? That to me, it gets me riled up. That to me, it's like, yes, we are a church, but that's a misconception. People think that because we're a church, we're always going to be giving. We're always going to.
And that's the thing. We do, you know?
Yeah, we do.
We do serve our community. You know, I'm very proud of our church. You know, we host an annual health and resource fair. We host financial services. We host food giveaways and toy giveaways and stuff like that. But it's in the moment that people are like, I need it now and I want you now, and if you can't provide that for me, then clearly you're not doing God's work. And it's like, and then that also translates to the person, you know, for all the times that, you know, you might have that patience, you might have that Christ-like quality, you know, that one day, you know, in the supermarket, and, you know, someone hit you, you know, or something, or with their car, and you're just kind of like, okay, you know, yeah, for sure.
And and then it's very interesting because sometimes I'll tell them, like, they'll tell me, oh, I'm getting kicked out of my apartment. I need help. I need assistance. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I can send you to this place, you know. I can send you to this other place. And she's like, no. I don't, like, I need money. I'm like, oh, for, like, your rent? And she's like, no, I'm already getting kicked out. Like, I just need money. You know, and it's like, oh, we don't do that. I can send you to a resource place, and I can even call them on your behalf and have them, you know, receive you, connect you. But money on hand, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Wow. So I think that that's another misconception on both ends.
Right.
That we're either extremist, you know, very unflexible, or that we should be all giving and all loving and all like, yes, oh yes, I love you too, and, you know, whatever. And that's not the truth. The reality is that we're usually in the middle.
Ooh, I have another one.
Usually in the middle.
I think it's a misconception that everybody that goes to church is a Christian.
Oh, now we're speaking to Christians. Now we're speaking.
No, I would even say to people, because I think a lot of people base their faith and their belief in God off of the people that are in the church. Yes, I do believe that we have a responsibility and we need to be a reflection of Jesus, and that we should behave like Jesus. But the problem with that is that when you have, let's say, started going to church, or, you know, even the people in church, you know, you put so much trust and faith in the people around you that when people disappoint you, you literally throw the table from under, and you're like, I'm done with, you know, God, I'm done. And when I say this, I'm not speaking of, you know, a situation where, yes, there's clearly a leader abused someone. No, I'm not saying remain in that church and continue serving under that leader or under that pastor or whatever. By no means am I saying that. What I'm saying is there have been times where people are like, oh, wow, you know, that leader is so disrespectful, or that leader is so rude. They didn't say hi to me, and I'm done. I'm done with the people in church. They're not welcoming. They're not, you know, all loving. And it's like when your entire basis and foundation for your relationship with God is based off of other people and their behavior, it's a very weak foundation. Yeah. And also, a church is open to everyone. It's open to anyone from all walks of life. And so when you go in and you assume someone is going to behave a certain way, sometimes it's like, well, these people are also in their own journeys. And if you already automatically judge someone for their how they look or how they seem, it's like, well, you haven't seen the full story yet. You know, they're still in their process. Or, you know, también, it's like, you know, you I don't know, like, my mindset is just like, you can't base that whole thing on, and that be your foundation, you know, that be your faith, because people will disappoint you automatically. You know, we're leaders in the church, and we're employees of the church. No, I don't strive to be rude to people. I don't strive to disrespect people. But have I had my moments just like anyone in any job? Yes. Yes, I have. And I would hope that people show me grace just like I have showed grace. And then that's my point.
Yeah, I think, that's a very good one. Because la Biblia lo dice, maldito el que cree en el hombre. Te vas a llevar unas desilusiones grandes si todo el tiempo sirves en la iglesia para complacer al hombre. You know, y by hombre I mean like, you know, al pastor, a las hermanas, you know, a la secretaria o lo que sea. And you're putting yourself out for failure.
Yeah.
When you start, you know, when you do things for, even to please the congregation, you know. I think we should do it always to serve, yes, to serve the congregation, to serve pastors, to serve those ministers, to serve the leaders. But always with like, I'm going to give my all and my best for God.
Right. Pray for Lula. She's been super sick, which is actually, I'm not going to say that this is fun for me by any means, but Lula hasn't been sick all year. Like literally all year, she hasn't been sick. Actually, we might take a quick break so that she can get out of her system.
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you want water? Let me go get you water.
Please.
This is a refilled water bottle.
All right.
Dude.
My God. My man. He's Baba and yeah, it is.
Dude. Pobrecita.
And I feel like I'm getting better. Porque at least when I swallow, it doesn't hurt. Because it used to hurt when I would swallow.
Dude, that could be
Tenía
strep.
bien hinchado mis anginas. Pero it's just not getting better. Yeah, I think ya me lo acabé. Oh.
The angle.
Wow. Sorry, guys.
We're back.
We're back.
And
I'm
we
back.
apologize for that. Like I said, Lula
Almost
hasn't
died.
been sick in a full year. And so it's interesting for me to see her sick because it's kind of foreign to me. But she's okay.
And then it's just, it's like, I haven't been sick. And then it
hits you,
hits
man.
me. Yeah, like the whole. But anyway, guys, sorry. I was talking, right? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because that's when you start.
Yeah, I was saying how if I were to do my job is based on people. My job is to serve people. I'm the secretary of the church. But if I were to just base it off of that, like I'm going to please people, I'm going to serve people, I don't think I would have lasted.
No.
Because I have been met with, you know, like, so it's really putting God first. Hey, like I'm giving my best. I'm not leaving anything out. I'm giving my best to God, and then I'm hoping that will trickle down to everyone else, and that they will see it. And if they don't see it, también that's not up to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's I don't know if that's a misconception within the church or overall in general. I think could be both.
I think another misconception is that Christians are bigots. That because there are clear things that we believe in and that we are in support of, not to ruffle any feathers, but just using this example of gender. You know, we believe that there are two genders. It's a man and male and female. And we believe that God created man and God created woman. And do people have struggles? Yes, I do believe that they have struggles. Do they have tendencies? Yes, they have tendencies. But because of that, and because we believe that, it automatically means that we are hateful.
Right.
And that because we don't agree with certain things, that we can't have some kind of understanding of the person and what they're going through, you know? And I think that I mean, and then it also, you know, makes sense, you know, because obviously, like, because we do have different beliefs, you don't always see Christians associating with, you know, those people, because obviously they're so different in what they believe in. You're not going to see that every now and then, you know, like, oh, look, there's a Christian and someone who is living a certain lifestyle, because clearly they don't agree. And because you don't see it, you automatically put one side to be the negative and one side to be the victim or the oppressed or the harassed. And a lot of the times, a lot of people don't realize that it's also difficult being on this end, because we're over here trying to live out what we believe. I'm not at people's houses and boycotting them or hurting people, but because this is where I stand in my belief system, that like it automatically puts me in a position where I am now like, you're the wrong one, and we need it, you know, we need to silence you. I mean, this happened this year when Roe versus Wade was overturned, and we were already getting threats, letters that were saying, you know, a lot of churches might be attacked today. There is a group that is, you know, going in churches and they are vandalizing, and they might, you know, do some demonstrations in obviously the protests against what just happened. And so in my head, it's like, you know, of course, are there those people that are, you know, bigots, and those are those people that are unwise in how they choose to express what they believe in? Of course, of course. But at the same time, it's like, not all of us are like that. Not all of us are out there trying to hurt or disrespect people. I know there was I mean, to me, it's like, I don't believe they're Christian by any means. The geez, it's the church that it's really just a family. It's more of like a cult where they go and they boycott funerals, and, you know, because, you know, they're like, God, you know, God hates you, and God hates people in the army. God hates, you know, the homosexuals, and they go and they boycott at funerals while there's a funeral happening. Like, to me, it's like, no, like, not. And then these are people that obviously call themselves Christians, you know, and so it's like, that I don't agree with. I definitely don't believe that that is the way. If you want to sit and us have a conversation, we can talk about different lifestyles and different understandings of what, not different understandings, but this is what I believe that's very different. But to believe that we're out there and we can't talk to someone or can't be friends with someone because they have a different lifestyle is wrong. I don't agree with that. And it's also hard because now that we are becoming more and more of the minority, it's like, it's also clear that people are like, well, we're going to try to silence that because you guys are the ones that are oppressing everybody else. Yeah. And it's like, you know, yeah, when like you mentioned earlier, when we are living in a society where it's like, live your truth, you know, and if that's true to you, then that's your truth, and you can live how you want. We don't have to agree. But then when it comes to having someone who has an opposing view, it's like, all of a sudden, well, no, maybe maybe you shouldn't have an opinion. Maybe you shouldn't have a say.
Yeah. I think it's hypocrisy at its best. You know, they're saying, let us speak our truth. Let us, you know, share our thing. But you can't do the same thing. There's a lot of people on my Instagram that when Roe v. Wade was happening, they were very outspoken about their beliefs. Very, very outspoken. Now, I don't know if they got fired for that or not. You know, I don't know if they were people that would DM them and, like, you know, go against them. But I'll tell you this. I wasn't one of those that would be like, I don't agree with that or whatever. Because, you know. But had I posted something about it, I'm 100% sure. I know I have a list of the people that would have texted me, that would have DM'd me. Wow, I didn't think you would believe that. Yeah. Wow, like, really? You know, so to me, it's very interesting how even within your own friends, or at least within my friends, I know that there are people that wouldn't allow me to express myself, you know. That, and not that I want to, really, because I think maybe we should. I don't know. I haven't come to that conclusion yet. Maybe we should be more outspoken on Instagram, just like everyone else is. But to me, it's like, I know that the way I'm being flexible about it, it's not the way it's going to be reciprocated towards me if I were to say things like, well, I disagree. And I don't even have to DM someone. I can just post it and they'll take it as an offense.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, that's definitely a huge misconception of like, oh, all of you are, you know, this or that. Where I think even that misconception, I think, can also turn into you're all hypocrites. You know, because without getting any in depth, but I do think that there are a lot of people out there that think that church is a place of hypocrisy, where you have people telling other people how to live, what to do, and, you know, what not to do. But then you have other people in that same church doing heinous things, heinous crimes. And so I think that's another, I wouldn't say misconception, but I think that's another thing that people carry it and they make it bigger than
everybody's like that.
Yeah, that everybody's like that. You know, all churches do is lie and take money away from people and cover crimes and all that. And hey, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It happens, unfortunately, and it's very
just like it happens in Hollywood, just like it happens in schools. Just like I mean,
it's everywhere, and is not just the church. I mean, it's bad that it's in the church because, again, it tells you of the end times. You know, when you have those worldly problems within the church, that says something.
Yeah, that
says that the end is near. You know. So
sorry, the way you said that. Sorry, I'm sick too. It sounded so dark.
Well,
but I get what you're saying.
I don't know. Maybe lately I've been confronted with that idea so much, like from from things I've read
every week.
Every week
we are reminded.
Yeah,
Jesus is coming, and we're like, yes.
Every week there's something that is just like, oh my God, yes. And then there are times where I myself think, no, you should be coming. Like, please, you know, like,
please, Lord,
don't let this get worse. But I'm pretty sure that it's gonna get worse. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get worse, and and our kids are gonna experience a different world.
But to end on a light note, I think another misconception about Christians is that we can't really find joy in having a relationship with God. Like, you can't really be, like, that can't really be enough for you, you know, to have a relationship with God. And you can't really want to have to change your lifestyle and all for what? For the joy of salvation? Yes, it is enough. And I mentioned this.
Says the woman earlier. That is married, happily married.
I've mentioned this earlier. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, me, if you ever go and watch our episode on my testimony and stuff like that, for both of us, it's like, no, we haven't had easy walks of life. We haven't had it all peaches and cream, where my faith in God was always at 100 and, you know, dale duro and everything, you know, like, no, of course not. I have, like any human being, I've had my highs, I've had my lows. Some people have had doubts in their faith. Some people haven't. I had a moment, I remember, where to me it was like, what if this isn't real? What if this isn't true? What if this isn't something that really exists? And the thought of that just frightened me, because for me it's like, if I don't have Jesus, then I am the most miserable person in the world. Like, nothing for me has ever been better than my relationship with God. Even though I know I've failed God and I haven't been at my best, I used to think, oh, marriage is going to be everything and finding love is going to be everything. And it is fun and it is amazing. But like in everything, your relationship with God is something so distinct because it's something that is supernatural, it's something that's eternal, it's something that can compare to anything in this world. And I came to terms with that at a very young age, that nothing was ever going to satisfy me. And maybe some of you guys can say, no, I've found it. I've found satisfaction in my marriage, in my children, in my job, career, friends, whatever. But at least for me, I never did. Maybe there were moments and pockets of joy and happiness, but at some point, my family failed me. My career failed me. My friends failed me. My self failed me, And so for me, it's like there's nothing really that fills me. So yes, I do think it's a misconception that people believe that we really can't have joy in our faith, but yes, you can. And I feel that so strongly that like I don't know what life has for me. I don't know what I'm going to experience, what challenges I'm going to face as we move through the next phases in our lives. But I am certain that with God on my side, I will be able to go through it because I do find joy in that. And so...
Man, that was beautiful. I agree. And then, it's normal that there are times where you're like, man, I wish my career was better. I wish my love life was better. I wish this, I wish that. And it's normal to want other things. And then it happens that you put God in the back burner. But I think that it's, again, God has such a sense of humor that he'll allow a situation to happen. He'll allow you to go through a season or a trial for you to realize that that's not enough.
Yeah.
It will, your career will never be enough. Your marriage, as loving as it is, will never be enough. Your kids, those people that you think, oh my God, I'm going to love them wholeheartedly and unconditionally,
will fail you.
They will fail you and they will not be enough. Only God. And I think that was the design behind God creating us. He created us for us to yearn for him, for us to never be fully fulfilled with whatever meaningful things we do in life. Because when you don't have him, the rest is very hard to find meaning in.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but when you have him, of course you're going to feel like your marriage is meaningful. Of course you're going to feel like your kids are, this is it. This is what I brought them up to be, because you have God first, and God has filled you out, and y tu copa está rebosando.
Yeah.
You're overflowing. And when you're overflowing with God's love and grace and all of this, pues sí, you're going to be grateful for your kids. You're going to be grateful for your husband. You're going to be grateful for your family. You're going to be grateful for the small or big house you have. And it won't matter. You're going to be grateful for the career or lack of career that you never pursued. And it won't matter at the end of the day. And but it's true. I think the other day I was talking to my nephew, Eliel. Shout out to you. I know you listen to this. And he was asking me, because we were talking about something like this, and he says, "Tia, really? Like, oh no." And I then told him, "Oh yeah, like, if God were to come, like, I'm okay, I'm good, And he says, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I don't think I have regrets. I mean, obviously I would have done things differently, but not to the point that oh man, God, please no vengas, porque I have so much regrets. I have so much to look forward." And now, again, I'm not saying that my life is bleak and my future looks bleaker, but I'm content.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I have family that loves me. I have what I would feel is a good relationship with God. I have duties, and I make sure I do my duties. I have responsibilities. And, and so I'm telling him all this. I'm telling him why I feel like I'm good if I were to die tomorrow. Like, I'm good. And he can't quite comprehend it.
Yeah.
And and a lot of what I'm telling him is my relationship with God. A lot of what I'm giving him examples of is my relationship, is what I do in my spirituality. And he's looking at me like, really? Like, really?
Sure. Yeah.
Eventually, I gave in. I was like, yeah, okay, love. And he says, yeah. You know, I was like, okay, yeah. Like,
No, but yeah, it's normal. I mean, I know there were, when I was single, dude, like I was like, Lord,
you know, yes.
just wait a little bit for me to find someone.
Yeah.
And yes, now that I'm here, I'm like, Lord, let me have children, you know? But I do understand what you're saying.
And that's normal too. That's normal too of like, Dios, espérate poquito, you know, like I just got a taste of what marriage is like.
Yeah.
Now I want to have a taste of what having kids is like. And then later on it's going to be, I want to have a taste of what looking at them growing up is like. And then I want to see how they, you know, it's always that constant, like, what's next?
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, when you find yourself that you're in a fulfilling relationship with God, because you're working actively for that. Yes, eso es lo que tú quieres, y eso es lo que you're striving, and you're working for that in your present for the future. Pero también no te dirías como like, no, that's the biggest regret of my life. Like, you know, no.
Yeah.
No pasó y es God's timing y pues vámonos. So, eso es lo que le traté de explicar a mi sobrino. But in his mind, he
he's also in a different
that.
stage.
Yeah, he's very young. I mean, he's in high school, and you know, for him, right now he's very athletic. A thing that he never thought he would be. We never thought he would be an athletic person. So for him, his mind is like, because I'm so much different than what I thought I would be and what everyone thought I would be.
Who knows what I can become?
Exactly. For him, the world is his oyster right now. For him, the world is like, the future holds so much adventure and so much in store for him that he can't understand a person. I'm not that old either, you know, but he can't understand someone who says, if I die tomorrow, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't get it.
No, but you know what? Like, I get him though, because like I feel like I didn't come to terms with that until maybe this year.
No,
I'm serious because I remember having this conversation with Joel, and my husband is just amazing, but he was really like, if I die right now, I am content. You know, and I mentioned this in other podcasts, you know, what's your deep fear? Dying.
Yeah.
And so obviously this is something that I've been, you know, working against this year, but I understand that. I understand that, like, really, like right now you're content with everything. And it doesn't really come, I don't think, always from a source of regret. No. It's also coming from a source of like, because we can't understand what eternity is going to look like. We can't understand what heaven is going to be. I've had these questions of like, so when we go to heaven, what is it going to look like? Are we going to get up in the morning and then we're just going to worship God and that's it? But then there's no time. And then there's no sleep. So then I'm just there. And I'm worshiping all day, and that's enough, you know. Entonces, like, because we live in a world of time, we live in a world where we have experiences that I think it's difficult for us to comprehend eternity.
No. I mean, and obviously, like you said, he's a kid, you know.
I'm just saying, hay algunos que, aunque no sean niños.
Bueno, he's at a different stage. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And
I was in a different mental stage.
And I mean, again, it's not that I want to die.
No,
you know?
I get it.
Exactly. Like, for the people out there, no, I want to get married. You know, I want to have kids. I want to grow old with that person. And but it really is. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
Yeah.
And but you know, in order to arrive here, I had to go through a lot of heartbreak as well. So it almost feels like I've lived.
Yeah.
You know, obviously not a lot, you know, que puede vivir una muchacha a los 28 años.
Mucho.
Well, yeah, mucho, pero I mean, compared to what I could live or what awaits for me. So yes. So I don't know, this misconception turned into yeah.
The point, like we mentioned earlier, it was really just to highlight some of the things that we feel that could have people misunderstand Christians, and hopefully after this, you have a better perspective about what a Christian looks like, but also to shine light on it. It's really that good. It's something that I will never regret. It's part of my identity that I am a Christian. And so if any of you are on the fence on, especially if like after this episode, like, I didn't know that, or I didn't know that, I didn't realize that, and you are curious, like we always mention, try Jesus. And for those of you that have grown up in church or have some exposure in church, and you're still trying to find some kind of satisfaction in the things of this world, I do believe that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom for you to come to that awareness for yourself and realize this wasn't it. And my prayer for you is that you don't lose your fire completely as you go through that journey. Everybody comes to Jesus in different ways, and then I'd be inconsiderate to understand that some people will have to go through those journeys. And if within my own life, I know I haven't put God first in every season, I've had to go through those moments where I realize, okay, God has to be my everything for me to move forward. So if you're in that journey, know that you have two people that are praying for you and that are here for those of you that, follow us, future Instagram coming through. And there's always a comment section if you ever want to reach out. But we are praying for our listeners, and we are praying for those of you that are on the fence or are still unsure of what path to take. There is another option to do your life. There's another option on how to have a different perspective and how to see things differently. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for today. We hope that it was, that it spoke to you, that it was of fruits, that we at least planted some seed in you. And for those that aren't very, like you said, they're there, but not really.
Yeah.
And for those that are Christian, we hope that you identify yourself in some areas, in some aspects, or that you probably thought, I've never thought about it, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for everything. See you next time. Bye.